The Black Death, also known as the Great Plague, was one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. It is estimated to have killed 30 to 60% of Europe's population between the 14th and 17th centuries. There have been two other pandemics, all related to the bacterium Yersinia pestis: the plague of Justinian, which occurred during 6th through 8th century, and the modern plague, which occurred during the 19th and 20th centuries. The plague appears to have originated in Central Asia. First speculations on how it traveled to Europe revolved around the Silk Road and the Mediterranean trade route. Upon arrival in Europe, the rodents and fleas could introduce the infection to new hosts. The plague is caused by a single-celled, non-motile bacteria, Yersinia pestis. Pneumonic, septicemic, and bubonic variations of the plague may develop after an infectious bite. While it is possible, the spread of the plague through the air is considered to be rare. It would require being in the immediate vicinity of an infected person when they were coughing, due to bacteria's inability to survive outside of the host for long periods of time. Plague symptoms include headache, fever, and buboes developing around the lymph nodes. Medieval understanding of the disease and treatment were not capable of treating the disease. During this time, no one knew what caused the plague, and all the speculation was based around superstition. Some theories included unfavorable astrological combinations or punishment from God. Others blamed witches, Christians, Muslims, and Jews, claiming they were poisoning the water supply. The closest assumption was that the plague spread through the air, which later turned out to be partially true. Insufficient understanding of the plague led to ineffective treatments. Towns would hire plague doctors to treat the sick. Some attempted to cure the infected by bloodletting or trepanning, which is drilling a hole in the patient's head to remove evil spirits. Yersinia pestis is known to exist as an enzootic infection in rodent hosts, like squirrels, prairie dogs, rats, and gerbils, using fleas as transmission vectors. When host rodent populations decline, fleas move to other hosts. Scholars continue to investigate more about the plague and its possible causes. The bacteria is thought to have traveled to Europe with fleas on rats and humans traveling along trade routes from the east and then exist in zoonotic reservoirs in medieval Europe. New information changes some previous speculations while also providing plausible ways the bacteria could have traveled to and devastated Europe. New information analyzed by Dr. Schmidt found no evidence that permanent reservoirs of Yersinia pestis existed in medieval Europe. There is also evidence that supports the idea of the plague coming in waves. As host populations in Europe would decline, leaving the bacteria hostless, causing it to die off due to its inability to survive on its own. Once the populations recovered, they were susceptible to another wave of the plague. Several studies, including the use of tree ring data as climate proxies, show how droughts in Asia disrupted rodent plague reservoirs, which drove fleas to find new hosts. The new hosts included humans and rats headed to Europe. Each of these climate pulses initiated new waves of the plague in Europe through its maritime trade network with Asia. This provides a possible answer as to how the plague persisted in Europe for so long. Recent studies indicate flea populations on rodents vary inversely with cumulative precipitation of the prior growing season. These results might explain why epizootics of the plague are more likely to occur during or shortly after periods of reduced precipitation. Climate change is projected to increase the frequency of droughts. If so, then the climate change might affect the occurrence of the plague epizootics among mammals. China had a favorable climatic conditions for the plague at the onset of the Black Death. The favorable conditions are expected to continue or become more favorable as a result of climate change. Outbreaks are likely to increase where humans live in close contact with rodents and fleas, harboring endemic plague. Dr. Green states that currently, no possible theory exists that can comprehensively explain how the non-motile, single-celled organism that modern science knows as Yersinia pestis could, in an age before steam-powered travel, have been disseminated across so much of the Eurasian and North African landscape in just a few decades.